Just have to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors, Yellow Dog Paddle, Mackin's Rip and Lips Fishing Trips, NJFishing.com, and 8 Ball Sportfishing. Also have to thank our supporters, Psycho Jigs, Lip Glue, Nor'easter Hardcore Apparel, Hoggy Time Jigs, The Mimi Sick, and The Gambler.
Hello and welcome to episode number 143 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am Joe Santiago, your host, and as always, my co-host Chris Pereira is here. We have a very large show tonight. Our first guest is Captain Dave Marciano from Wicked Tuna, from the captain of the Hard merchandise. Was on TV for 14 seasons, I believe. He should be here momentarily, and then after him, we're having Victor on, who is the person that actually caught the controversial muskie on Greenwood Lake. I don't believe he's had a chance to speak out himself yet, right, Chris? And he was asking for a microphone, basically.
I mean, he has his own, social media and stuff, but it's just, normal, whatever amount of followers, normal social media. I know he talked to some random media outlets before, like when he caught the fish. But I don't know. There's a lot of parts of the story that get kind of weird and sketchy. I don't know what other word to use for it.
Yeah. So like around 7:50, 8 o'clock after Captain Dave is done, we're going to have a talk with Victor and hopefully get details. Stick around for the live chat if you are waiting for that. Real quick, I went down to the Saltwater show. I got the Palmaris rod for the Gambler, Mayhem on the Gambler. The rod's awesome. Shout out to Palmaris as usual. And also I got to talk to Chris Lito, and Chris Lito said the Gambler is going to sail Lazy Man Tog trips for April. And they're going to take 8 to 10 people. And they're going to sail from 10 to 3. So no need to get up early. They're going to just go out to the tog grounds at 10 to 3 and put either clams or crabs down. So Gambler is doing Lazy Man tog fishing for April very soon. And it seems fun. Seems like a good idea, too. Like roll up at 10 o'clock and just
we're asking.
Yeah.
We're asking, and there you go.
But yeah, I thought it was awesome. He said, the boat will sail with, even if only 8 people show up, they'll sail. They only need 8 to 10 people to sail, which is pretty cool. Did Chris just, blow up? Oh, there he is. We lost you for a second.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Great.
What I was saying was the Gambler was saying they'll sail with 8 to 10 people, which usually a party boat that big won't do. But for tog fishing, that'd be awesome. You could move all over that giant boat.
Yeah, and I mean, spring tog fishing is, I don't know if weird time of the year is a good word, but it's kind of it could be really good. So it's just one of those things where you just got to go. You just got to go and you just got to try, and you can get rewarded big time. But yeah, it's not like the late fall, winter tog fishing. It's a little different, but
the Mayhem Contest, there was a lot of changes in the standings. Bob Darling's brother, Phil Darling, he caught Bubba. I don't know the whole story behind Bubba, Chris. Do you? I was told it was stocked 4 months ago, and it had a tag in its mouth, and whoever caught it would win $500. And so, I guess Phil went to the river over the weekend and he caught him. It's over a 25-inch gigantic brown trout, which takes first place in brown trout in Mayhem. I think Phil won $500.
Did you talk to him or Bob? I mean, is it?
I've never actually talked
to
Phil.
Bob?
I've never actually talked to Phil. I was with Chuck when he caught it, and Chuck was like, "Oh, that's Bubba." Like Chuck knew about it. I guess Chuck was in on the donating of the money that went towards buying Bubba. I don't even know what it was for. Does anyone watching know?
Well, they stock that fish every year, like a fish like that. So I was just wondering if they got the tag and confirmed that it was this year's Bubba, because all those waters easily hold over a brown trout like that indefinitely. I mean,
Yeah,
the
and
trout in those rivers can
does that fish
survive
get
the summer easily.
Does that fish get killed, or do you just take the tag out and let it go?
You can do whatever you want with it. I feel like someone told me, now I can't remember, but someone told me that you could pull the tag out and release them, and I think they did.
Oh,
But
good.
I don't know.
Well, that's cool. So that fish is still there somewhere.
Well, maybe that's what I was told. But whether it is or it isn't, I mean, it's not like you're gonna go out fishing on these rivers and catch one every day. But there's fish like that swimming around. There's a lot of different private entities that stock and have been stocking brown trout since while the state was stocking them, and continued to do it after the state stock. I think a lot of people still don't realize that.
Yeah.
When the state stopped stocking brown trout, hundreds of private entities were still allowed. They're still allowed to do it, and they never stop.
Phil Darling just commented he has a release video of him removing the tag and release the fish. Phil, congratulations! That's an amazing catch. One of the places to go to try to beat that fish, in my eyes, would be the Round Valley, because we know the RVTA puts a couple monstrous browns out. I don't think they put one out last year that was over 30 inches. I don't think that one was caught yet. And I'm sure this year they'll, unless it was just caught, not reported. But I know their stocking's coming up, so they'll be putting more in. So, yeah, and then there's also rumors from the last meeting that brown trout may be making a possible return to the stocking program due to a budget. I forgot what they call that, leftover money. They may have enough leftover money to bring back brown trout.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to them. I'm not saying I don't believe them, but a lot of people don't believe them, and you can't really blame them, but we'll see what happens.
It would be cool, though. It looks like Captain Dave is ready to come in, so we're going to back out for 1 minute, get Captain Dave set up. We will be right back with hard merchandise. Okay, we are back, and very proud to introduce this next guest. He has been the captain of the hard merchandise since 2004, and also runs Angelica Industries since 1996. I'd like to welcome to the NJ Multispecies Podcast, Captain Dave Marciano. Welcome.
How are we doing, guys? How are we doing?
It's nice to finally see you here, man. I've been watching you on TV since I was like a lot smaller than I am right now. A long time.
You know, it's funny. I hear that a lot. But,
sure
you know, how lucky were we to be on TV for that long? You know what I mean? Like, we did a 13-year run. You know, it ended about 3 years ago now, I guess. But, you know, when it all started, not in a million years did I think it would go that long. You know, I figured we'd do it for a season or two. Not many people would watch, and it'd be over and done with. And, you know, what a crazy wild ride to be on TV for over a decade.
Yeah, what was that like? What did they do? They approached you and said, like, we want to put cameras all over?
Well, yeah. Look, when it all started, I've answered this question before. When it all started, you know, the story I heard was some of the executive producers did some work on the movie Perfect Storm. You all remember that one? Yeah. So they became familiar with Gloucester being a very scenic location. That's how people like that who film TV shows look at places, right? They heard about us catching these fish that were worth money. And so the idea, the concept for the show was born. When they came into town, they interviewed, you know, they were in town for like 10 days. They interviewed a bunch of other boats and captains, mostly the fancy boats over to Cape Ann Marina, you know, where all the beautiful people tie up. And on the ninth day, they contacted me. I had no idea any of it was going on. They gave me a rundown. Hey, we got an idea for a TV show, about tuna fishing. And first words out of my mouth is there a check involved? And they said, yeah, we'll give you $350 to come down and do a 45-minute video interview and tell us your story. Tell us about yourself. What I heard is they offered me $350 to come down and tell them some fish stories, right? So
yeah.
I went down for that check, because fishing, let's face it, some weeks fishing, you can work the whole week and not get paid. Commercial fishing,
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
like
sure.
the charter industry. At least you're going to make something. So I went down for the check, and again, not in a million years did I think it would turn into what we all know it turned into, and lasted for 13 years for us. It was a great opportunity. And I always like to say, I'd like to point out, it's all because of you folks who watched, right? We just did our thing and let them put the cameras on the boat. But if you guys didn't watch, none of it would have mattered. So I'm always happy to say thank you for those people who did watch.
That's awesome. And I don't remember when reality TV started becoming a thing, if I'm being honest. I want to say it wasn't that much earlier than when Wicked Tuna started coming around, maybe 10 years at most, I want to say. I don't know. I can't rember. But
the first two I remember is Deadliest Catch and Wicked Tuna. That was and one of them's
Deadliest
Crab
Catch. They were the pioneers. They're still on. I think season 22 or something, right? But the company now who produced that show, Pilgrim Studios, they were one of the first in the business, right? And they have a long history. They did the one, what was it, when you get voted off the island or whatever? And Survivor, that was it. That was one of their big ones. Okay. But, they became into being, if you remember back in the 80s, the first actors strike. So it might be some of you older guys remember that first actors strike. That's when the whole reality TV genre was born. This is what I'm told. And that's when Pilgrim Studios came into being. And, they remained.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, again, I'm like you. I can't, think back of other ones I might have watched. But, I think the idea is it might have started with the home building shows and that might have been the kind of first version. And then, then when you think about that kind of makes sense.
Well, and what I was kind of getting to anyway is I don't remember because I didn't really, I don't watch reality shows unless, my wife's watching them and it's just on. And it does catch you, even the dumb crap, the whatever they have, the housewives of every part of the world, whatever. And I don't even want to include Wicked Tuna and shows like the Deadliest Catch or whatever. They're not the same to me. The Wicked Tuna shows and the Deadliest, that always seemed very real to me. The fishermen weren't actors. They weren't trying to become actors. That, you know what I mean? You guys weren't doing the show in hopes that Hollywood would invite you to come play as an actor, as a fisherman in a movie. You know what I mean? You guys were just going out fishing.
What do you mean? I always hoped that would happen. I was waiting for my, $25 million contract to be on some movie, Maybe I could have been one of the Avengers, no? But no, you're right.
Thor? You could have been Thor, right?
I could have pulled that off, maybe. If I had the hair for it. But no, all kidding aside, that's true. And one of the things I learned being a part of a reality show, in spite of, people, often thought some of what we do is scripted. And I can tell you, it was never scripted. They didn't hand us the script. But obviously, they wanted us to be engaged and enthusiastic about what we're doing. You know what I mean? If I was just sitting there like a bump on a log and refused to talk to the guy with the camera, you know what I mean? Where's the entertainment value in that, right? So, that being said, we poured on the enthusiasm for what we were doing, right? We made it happen. And, one thing they told us too is they took that very seriously, the whole concept of being scripted, because let's face it, when it was at its height, everybody was making money. The network was making money. We were making a paycheck. Everybody's making a paycheck. And what kills these reality shows is once they get a reputation for being scripted, people turn to tune out, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think we had a longer run as we did, because we kind of we kept to that basis. We made it as real as we could. And again, they use, let's face it, creative editing, I think, would be the way, oftentimes, again, because it is a 1 hour show, you don't get to see the whole story, so if there is a beef between somebody or something, you might not often see the whole long story that leads up to something. So you get the abbreviated version, so it can look a little out of context at times,
A lot of people are commenting in legend. They're calling you a legend. They're saying you're their favorite. You were their favorite captain of the show. Yet you seem to be a fan favorite of the show.
Well, I don't know. I always feel, odd about that. You know what I mean? It's like that wasn't my master plan. Again, when it all started, I did it for the check, right? And I didn't even like it when the producers, they started calling me, Captain Marciano, right? I come up old school, and when I fished with a bunch of guys, and I've ran my own boats and other commercial boats, and in my career, I've done a lot of fishing, primarily commercial, but plenty in the recreational and charter fisheries. And I got into fishing because I loved fishing as a kid with my rod and reel, right? But I didn't even like the fact that they used to highlight that whole captain thing, because that was for TV purposes. When I work with guys, especially in the commercial arena, sure, you're the captain because you're responsible, but often on commercial boats, you operate more like a team than a boss. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a different. That was one of the most uncomfortable things to me, to have them running around calling me captain all the time. Because that's not how I operated.
John Dorn commented, every captain spent most of the show wanting to beat up Tyler.
I feel like right now is a good time to say that through me contacting Dave, I referred to him as captain every time I texted him, so he had to suffer through that. He didn't say anything, though. You should have just told me that he didn't like being called.
Right. Well, look, I've gotten used to it now because I get it. It's become associated with that character, right? You know what I mean? Let's face it. On the show, I'm Captain Marciano or Captain Dave, and I get that, right? But I don't run around demanding everybody call me that. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna call you Dave for the rest of the show.
I'm fine with that too.
Jerry Zagorski from NJFishing.com.
I've been called a lot worse things. So you can call me Captain, you can call me Dave, or you can call me asshole. That's what my friends call me.
All right. Jerry Zagorski from NJFishing.com. He wants to ask a question. How do you feel about these new fast boats, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's a center console with 3 giant motors on the back. He's saying you guys mostly still stick to the old school inboard.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, especially me. I'm a commercial fisherman, right? So for me, it's not about fancy. It's about effectiveness. My boat is the most efficient boat in the fleet to operate, okay? Speed costs money. I don't care who you are. And, even those other boats, and let's face it, guys like Dave and the .com, Dave has a beautiful boat. I'm envious of Dave's boat. But, he chose a different life path, and he's a pilot for JetBlue, and he worked hard his whole life, and he's very successful. And he has that multi-million-dollar boat because he worked for it. I was just a commercial fisherman. The only reason we fish tuna is because they're in my backyard. And if you could manage to catch a few, you could make a paycheck. But like I looked at it different than a guy like Dave. For me, successful tuna fishing is knowing when not to go. If I'm going to spend a week not catching, that's just me going. That's all next week's profit going out the window, right? If I catch fish the week after, right? You know what I mean? So for me, I have to bring home. Not only do we have to cover expenses, I got a family of 5 to support. And if you go back, 40 years, and look at our tax returns for me and the wife, 90% of our combined household income came from the boat or me fishing, right? So that's the difference. Now, in regards to those rocket ships, look, those are beautiful rigs. They're 500,000, 700 million plus, $1.5 million rigs, right? And look, if I had the money in a New York minute, I'd drop it to go have fun on one of those rigs, right? But the reality is you ain't making no freaking money. If you're operating a rig like that, I don't care how many fish you catch. You're not running a business. You're having a lot of fun, and the cost of the fish helps offset the cost of ownership. It's two different things, and I'm not saying one is better than the other or one is more right or wrong. I'm not dissing those guys at all. It's just a matter of situations for individuals. You know what I mean? But I envy those guys. Those rocket ships are cool, but look, even with TV money, I can't afford one.
That was one of the next
and I'll be the
questions.
first to say too, is even if I did make $1 million from the TV, and it was a good opportunity, right? If I had $1 million in the bank for retirement, the last thing I do is blow it on a fucking boat. Right? I've been fishing I've spent 3/4 of my adult life bouncing around in the boat. I'm okay with not going.
You know what? I've actually said before that, like, if a couple $1 million just dropped on my lap, I probably still wouldn't buy a saltwater boat. I would probably hire someone with the boat to just be on call, take me out.
Sure. Yeah, like that. That's what I do. Yeah. If I won the big lottery ticket, right? You guys would see me going all around. My wife likes to fish, and I'd have no problem paying somebody else to drive the boat and bait the hook.
Maintain it. I don't want to do
I wanted to ask this question.
All that stuff.
We obviously, we've lost some nice fish. We've lost big fish. It's a gut-wrenching feeling. It's terrible, especially when you see it and then lose it. But this is a whole nother level. When you lose a fish, you're talking like the average American's 2 or 3 month paycheck that just came off the line, plus the loss of the fish itself. I've seen other boats cut your lines off driving by when you're fighting a fish. What goes through your mind after waiting that long and having a finally having the long fight with the fish, and boom, it becomes? I can't imagine it.
Right, look, it's a kick in the nuts. And again, remember, for the show, I guess that's another thing I hated. That became my shtick, right? If I lose this fish, my kids aren't going to have pencils for school, and they're going to have to eat the erasers for lunch, right? Now, that's an exaggeration, right? You all understood that, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is for a portion of our life, for me, again, when I had that fish on the line, that was the diaper money. That was the milk money. And again, the show makes it look like tuna fishing is all we do, right? For me, as a commercial fisherman, again, I went tuna fishing, and if I could make a paycheck every week, if the fish were abundant enough, I'd continue to tuna fish. If not, we'd put the gill nets out, and we'd go lug dogs if it was the summertime and there was no cod around. Even dogfish at 10 cents a pound. If you land 1 million pounds after a few months, the dimes add up, and that's what we got to do as a fisherman, So that's where, and I think the show, again, I live my life like that. You know what I mean? When the fish paid the bills, and that was stressful, and I did get a little wound up, and I did, probably have a few meltdowns, but that's a lot of stress. But, again, that's why I'm thankful for the show. For me, and some guys like to belittle me for it, the show put me at that next level in life, right? I did. That's what I did is I started a retirement portfolio for me and the wife because those are words I never thought I'd utter. My kids used the money, some of the money they got to pay off their student loans. So it was life changing. You know what I mean? I'll take that. And, and again, I still get an old crappy boat, but the boat's paid for, the house is paid for, and, life is good. A little bit of stress is off.
Right. I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
When you compare the fishing ports around the United States, everyone always says Gloucester is a different breed of salty dogs. That's where the Fisherman's Memorial is.
Yeah.
That's where the Perfect Storm boat sailed for the Andrea Gale. It's a pretty well-known fishing port as opposed to most other ones.
Well, it's historic. Gloucester has a 400-plus year history of fishing here. It was salt cod from Gloucester when this country was founded. Salt cod from Gloucester traveled around the world with the spice trade. You know what I mean? So, Gloucester was there from the beginning, and it makes sense when you think about it. If you look at Cape Ann on the map, our proximity to three major fishing grounds, the way Cape Ann jutted out of the ocean, put us close to fish. Back in the days of sail, being close to fish mattered, right? The closer you were, the better. As well as its access, and it was always, it's a good, clean, deep, safe harbor. There's a lot of harbors like what you saw when we went down the Outer Banks. I got a lot of respect for guys that have to navigate that inlet like that year round. We were just visitors, and I hated it. The nice thing about Gloucester is, the harbor don't change, and it hasn't changed for hundreds of years. We're surrounded by a rocky shoreline. Once you know where the rocks are, it's not going to change.
And because in the show that you went down south, that was mostly trolling. You prefer the other way?
Right. Well, look, I mean, my forte was fishing with bait. Trolling was a new game for me. Again, I'm not a sportsman, right? So when I went down there and learned how to troll, I was learning while we go. You know what I mean? So I struggled. Yeah. And let's face it, too, guys. I wouldn't go down there except the TV deal. They offered me a check, right? It was guaranteed pay for me and the crew for 3 months. And if I caught a fish, I got to sold it like I always do. Why wouldn't I say no to that deal, right? But, in real life, if you took away the TV show, I wouldn't go down there. It would make economic sense. Plus, I could stay busy working back home,
Yeah, shout out to Chris Lido from The Gambler. He just said, hello, Captain Dave.
Yeah.
And Nor'easter also is saying they used to go fishing with you every year. Do you do charters? That's something everyone's asking.
Yes, we do charters. That was the biggest thing to come out of the show. If folks are interested, you can check out our website, angelicafisheries.com, and you can see about T-shirts, hats, and bobbleheads, or coming out fishing with us.
Oh, they have bobbleheads of you?
Yeah, we have a bobblehead.
Joe's buying one right now. He's gonna buy. Joe's gonna have one ordered before the end of the show.
Katie Lynn just commented.
Now, I will say too, they're good luck bobbleheads. If you get one of those bobbleheads and put it on the boat, I can give you a guarantee. I guarantee your line will get wet when you put it in the water.
Now we have a friend that his existence is like the opposite of that. Like his boat, like if you go fishing with him, you need to say, like, kiss your family goodbye, maybe the last time you ever see him. Like the thing, like shit just breaks on the boat. Mice like mysteriously appear on the boat, like they chew everything and then jump off. Like,
well, baby.
Will this bobblehead? That's Kevin's boat, by the way. I'm just gonna call him out. Will this bobblehead, you think, could it negate that sort of?
No, it definitely might attract rats.
Oh.
Yeah, so for everyone asking, the answer is hard. He does do charters.
Yes.
That's
AngelicaFisheries.com for the charters.
And they actually get to go fishing with you?
Yes. Okay.
No, I didn't know if it was like
me. I still run the boat, run the business. But look, I don't work 7 days a week, right?
Right.
If it's not me, both the boys are licensed captains. So Jay and Joe, my son, if it's not me, it's going to be one of the boys.
One's your nephew, correct?
And often, Jay's my nephew, but actually my son has been down in Miami. He's running yachts this winter. He started a gig last summer. He was running yachts in Newport. Newport. And then he's been down in Miami for the winter. So, it's me and Jay holding down the fort in the boat,
I remember on the show, a lot of the boats didn't have that much. I mean, obviously they had enough faith to give them the job, but they didn't have that much faith and trust in their mates. I remember you always seemed to trust your nephew a lot more, and he seemed to have more responsibilities than the other mates. Was he a really good fisherman that you trained and were able to trust him?
Yeah, even more so than my son. He's 10 years old. Well, 7 years older than my son, right? And Jay was always, I got pictures of when I took him to the trout pond when he was still in pull-ups, right? So he was always my nephew, and I was his uncle who took him fishing. And it just so happened he graduated high school and needed a job, and I needed a crew to go gill netting. So I put him on the boat, and, he's been there ever since now. I guess, that must be 20 plus years now. He's been my crewman, you know what I mean? So the kid knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Matty Loisel just commented, and he went on a charter on hard merch with Jay, and he said it was just unreal to be there. That's cool, man. Yeah. I didn't even know that you went. You never told us.
No, you never told us. That is
we
awesome.
Got to go, Chris.
Hey, yeah. I mean, are you ever? Joe's never been tuna fishing. How far out's the ride
for the tuna?
Look, we do. Again, come on out. We start our fishing in May, right? For haddock, and cod when they allow us. But the haddock fishery is phenomenal up here. And, then mid to end of June, we start the tuna trips.
I think Joe should start off with haddock.
How far out's the ride for tuna? Because here it's like
it depends. Some years it's 5 miles. And, it depends on where the fish show up. Let's say on average, and to do what we do in a day trip, a 12-hour day trip, we're limited to about 25 miles around Gloucester, right?
Oh, Chris.
But, sometimes we go 8 or 10 miles. Sometimes it's 12 or 15. Sometimes we're pushing that limit. But, sometimes we got to go 100 miles to get a bite. And often we're not going to do that with a charter on the boat, for 9 hours. We're not one of those rocket ships.
And what is the actual, like on the bluefin tuna, the giant bluefin tuna that make you a lot of money? Like, what's the realistic success ratio on that? Like, I know the show is.
Well, again, it's fishing. And remember, like the show makes it look like, you get one a week. Yeah. The reality is, you have weeks where you catch a fish every single day of the week, right? When fishing's good. And then you can have a 2-week dry spell where you don't get a thing. So it all depends, it still comes down to its fishing. And when it's good, it's good. And when it's a scratch, okay, sometimes it's a few days between bites.
And there was times on the show that I saw you when you got 2. I guess there were special times that were open when you could keep 2 fish.
Yeah. And that had nothing to do with, like, when the show first started, back in 2010, 2009, were a couple of the worst years tuna fishing we've had in decades, right? The fish just didn't show up. It's not that they didn't exist. These are 30-year-old fish we catch. They just didn't show up. And, what they do is it's important that we allow the commercial fishery to harvest its share of the international quota every year. Because if we don't, the other countries can lobby and take that quota from us. They'll say, U.S. commercial fishermen, they're not using their tuna quota, give it to us. And we've lost a lot of swordfish quota to Canada because we over-restrict the longline fleets. And then Canada gets the quota, and then the fish comes down I-95 back into the United States because the U.S. is one of the largest consumers of swordfish.
So
they were allowing us multiple numbers of fish after a few years of really bad fishing when the fish didn't show up to ensure that we caught the quota for the year, of course, without going over. The trend the past 5 years has been some of the best fishing we've ever seen. And not only have they limited us to one a day, they've even limited the number of days a week we can go. And that's in an effort to prolong the fishery for as long as possible throughout the year because the catch rates are so high. When they're easy to catch, everybody catches them.
But I'm understanding correctly, when they're doing this over-restricting stuff, it doesn't even really help because the other countries are taking advantage of our like we're being restricted and they're taking advantage of what we're not catching.
Well, they can lobby for it. This is, it comes with the highly migratory species in particular. We're not talking cod here. We're talking swordfish and tunas. So if we share a resource with Canada and some of the Mediterranean countries, it's important that we allow our fishermen to catch what the international science community, right? Each country gets a quota. It's important that we use what we're given.
Right.
Otherwise, other countries can take it away from us.
And when they restrict us like locally, like here, that's doing the opposite. Like they're not.
Well, no, we still have to maintain. So even though we can't control catch rates, but the quota, the base quota, we can't exceed. So when they're restricting us because fishing is easy, because like the last few years, you guys have had some real good fishing down south there, right? We still have to stay under the biologically acceptable quotas that we're given. We can't overfish, but at the same point, we don't want to be so restrictive that we underfish. We don't catch our share. But we definitely can't go over, just like the other countries, they can't go over either.
People are commenting in that you've come to New Jersey to go BFT fishing, and they're asking how it was.
I've never been to New Jersey. I've been to the Outer Banks. I've never fished out of New Jersey for bluefin.
He's never come. Yeah.
Someone's just talking out of their ass or something.
Another person, Christos, who says, "Hi, Dave. I've been a commercial fisherman 27 years. He's curious to know what your very first job was in the commercial fishing industry."
In the commercial fishing industry, it was gill netting. My very first job commercial fishing was gill netting.
And that actually leads me to one of the questions I want to ask, because I went on the internet real quick just to see if I could see anything that would give me a question that I wouldn't have had from the show. Yeah. And I don't want to assume anything on the internet's true, so I'm just going to ask you. But it said you didn't grow up in a fishing family. So
no, I did not.
You took up fishing on your own at some point, and I did the same thing, not as a commercial fisherman, but just recreational fishing. Nobody in my family fished. And then in my early 20s, me and a friend decided we wanted to try it, and, we got some stories. But so I'm always curious, someone that kind of took the same route of not, your dad, your grandpa didn't show you how to fish, didn't fish. You just picked it up on your own. And I always like to hear those stories. I don't know.
Yeah. No, my dad didn't know how to bait a hook. He didn't know nothing about fishing. So he never understood with his fishing bug. And it just, we had lakes and ponds near our house when I was a kid, and you couldn't keep me away from the water, right? And that's how that passion for fishing, again, just with a rod and a reel, which I still have to this day, me and the wife, when I go on vacation, we don't go anywhere if we're not doing some fishing, right? And it was just out of that passion. My first jobs when I was very young was 11 years old was on the local potty boat that went out and caught flounders, blackback flounders, right? In Salem Harbor here. And that was my first job on a boat, but not commercial. But, I was a kid. I would take my lawn mowing money and any allowance I had, and I'd go fishing every weekend. And one weekend, the older kid who used to work the deck didn't show up. So the owner knew me as the kid who was there every weekend. He said, "Hey, kid, you want a job?" And I guess you could say that's where my career started. But, it started on the potty charter boat end of the industry.
Did you say you were 11 years old when that happened?
Yeah.
Dude, like, times have changed, right? Like, 11-year-olds 11-year-olds are like eating Tide Pods.
You can't even get working papers now.
No, it was a different time. And, remember, it was just a summer job. It was the boat did 4-hour trips. But, like where it was located, though, was in Salem Willows Park. And, you got to go back in time. So I was a deckhand, and back then we got freaking a dime to clean a fish, right? To fillet a fish. And all the flounders, we didn't always clean them. We headed and gutted them and skinned one side. But, back then, so I was a kid up in the parking lot. They had the arcade, right? So, I was an 11-year-old kid with a mounting pocket full of quarters. When I went up to the arcade, I was like Superman. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to imagine like 11-year-old Dave like filleting a fish with like a knife that's like the size of his arm, and then taking the money and going to the arcade. It's fucking great.
I'm gonna ask him one more question because I don't want to ruin his entire evening. But I wanted to ask the tuna market. Now, when you actually bring the fish in, I know it seemed like every person had a different, like, I guess you call them a fishmonger that they bring the boat to.
A buyer, monger,
is there ever a time when it fluctuates so low that you say it's not even worth going? And then is there other times when it skyrockets and you say we have to go right now?
Yes, right? So, look, there are times, and remember, take the TV prices, right? We're always, in reality, we might not know for a week what we're going to get for any given fish, right? Because it's real simple. The reason why you never saw us going back and forth and run into the other buyer is in real life, the buyer's working a commission, right? So if you're my buyer, you're going to get 5%. So that's what keeps everybody honest. The more money you get me for my fish, the more money you put in your pocket, right? It's a good, clean system. Now, that being said, for TV purposes, it wouldn't work if we said, okay, Dave got $15 a pound for the fish he got 3 episodes ago, right? You understand that? We needed a number when the fish came in. So the buyers were often shooting from the hip. Give us what you think Dave might get for this fish. And then, of course, you got TV producers in the background, encouraging bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. My thing is I didn't want any of that bullshit because I'm legitimate. I'm running a business, right?
Right.
And if on my taxes with the IRS, I report I landed $60,000 worth of tuna, but on the TV show it shows I landed $100,000 worth of tuna, I'm going to get audited. And not only am I going to get audited, the buyer's going to get audited. And who wants that headache, right? So, and look, you got to remember, it was, again, that was the way you quote unquote won on Wicked Tuna. And let's face it, winning and $4 got you a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, right? It's not like you won anything except an attaboy, right? And I've never been a competitive person. It wasn't that important to me to run around. Look, I had a good manager. Trust me, I won when I signed my contract to do the new season, and then we went out and caught a few fish.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right?
Yeah, it all makes sense, and I think that's why you're kind of like that. You have that fan favorite title kind of. It's because, I mean, you could tell when you watch the show. I'm not saying anyone wasn't real on the show, but you could just, there was different levels of real, right? You could just, I don't know, you could kind of tell.
Right.
Oh, I got to ask one more.
Look, I'll say, the best advice I got was the first season from the first shooter that they had on the boat, shooter producer, right? Because let's face it, we're guys. All of a sudden, you've got somebody pointing the camera at you, and you've got cameras all mounted around the boat.
Yeah.
It's almost instinct to want to show off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, right? We're all guys. We're all fishermen.
Yeah.
Right?
It changes you even if you don't think it.
Right. And the best advice I got, right, that shooter producer said, look, Dave, I've been doing this for 30 years. Trust me. He says, if you try and be something you're not, the audience is going to see through that. I'm not an actor. Right? Let's face it. I'm not Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah. You're close.
And I get it. Yeah, maybe Brad Pitt with a beer belly, right? But, people are going to know that's not the real you. And he says, if you just be yourself, people are going to like you just the way you are. And I think that was good advice I got.
It is.
Because again, when it first happened, you didn't know what to do.
I have to ask this one personal question. Last question.
Sure.
Last year when I went salmon fishing with my kids, I went to the Douglaston Salmon Run in New York, and someone told me that you were in there salmon fishing, and I kind of looked around for you for like a couple minutes. Is that true?
Yeah.
Were you there, or is that a lie?
Yeah, it was. But the wife and I did do that. We did
you were there.
the salmon thing.
Oh, I tried to find you like a stalker.
When was this?
I believe it was not this past October, the October before that one.
Right. No, we were there. I think it was like maybe five years ago.
Oh, that long. Okay, so it was a lie then.
Oh, wait. No, where did you say?
DSR in the Salmon River, New York.
All right. No. The Salmon River. Yeah, it was 5 years ago. We were there at least.
What probably happened, Joe, is this guy told you like he was there at some point a couple of years ago, and then you mistook it as, oh, he's here now? And then you started looking. Dave, what would you have done if a 4-foot adult male came up to you while you were salmon fishing and started trying to get a picture with you?
I would have said hello. Because again, like I said at the beginning, right? I try and be mindful. If you guys didn't watch, and if fans didn't watch, right? And, none of it would have mattered. And it was a great opportunity for me and my kids. So I'm always happy to say thank you. For the most part. Because you know what I noticed too, is most people are pretty cool about it, right? They're like, look, if I know what's going on, I see people looking. If I give a big smile, that's like the green light. People come over, say hello. And you know what, though? Sometimes, I'm with the family having dinner or something, right? And people get that. They give you the space you need, right? I found every now and then you get a weirdo who will jump down at the dinner table with you when you're with your family. But for the most part, everybody's pretty cool to me. So I feel like I should be pretty cool back, right?
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that most people are normal when they see it, and you have an awesome attitude about it.
Captain, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and talking to us. This has been absolutely thrilling. The chat room is going insane. I can't even read them. I'll go back and answer them. Is there anything that you want to plug before we let you go?
Well, yeah, just the website. If you guys want to go fishing, angelicafisheries.com. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook and social media. We Captain Marciano and Hard Merchandise on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Follow us there. You can get the links to book the charters. And again, we got T-shirts, hats, and bobbleheads. And I'm happy to say hello, people. And yeah, most important, come on out and go fishing with us.
I bet you. Is Dom or Kim in here? Or no?
Yes, they are.
So we're good. So Joe has never been tuna fishing, so we are going to try to get him out with our buddies and our sponsor on here, one of our sponsors on here, 8 Ball Sport Fishing, locally, try to get him out for some tuna or even offshore for tile fish or anything.
But I have hooked 2 bluefin on the Tie Man.
Inshore bluefin, yeah. But we're more concerned to see if he freaks out when he goes offshore too far. But
Captain,
yeah,
like
up
I
there
said,
by them, you don't have to go out that far a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's
no, it's totally different than that canyon racket down there. Totally different.
It's an absolute honor to have you on here, and really want to thank you for the years and years of entertainment. One of my favorite shows on TV. I never thought I'd be interviewing here, and I can't thank you enough. Really, just thank you. And everyone here watching is loving it. You're a big crowd favorite. Just thank you. I don't know what else to say, really.
No, look, hey, thank you guys for the opportunity. And, anytime if you want me to come back,
we do.
You got my number. You reach out to me. Well, give me a yell during tuna season.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll
stay in touch for sure. And it was a pleasure talking to you. And, sometimes you reach out to, someone who's been on a TV show or has some kind of fame or whatever, and you get no response or you get an asshole response. You're just a pleasure to talk to, and before the show and they're on the show. I mean, can't say enough. Thank you for coming on. It was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Captain.
Have a great night.
You too, man.
Bye.
So, yeah, he was just totally down to earth, man. Everyone who's hanging around for the Victor... it Victor?
Do the 8 Ball commercial.
I'm gonna.
I tried to lead you into it, but you didn't do it.
Is it Victor? I didn't want to do it with him on there. Is it Victor Zellman? Is that how you say his name?
No. With a G.
Gelman?
No Z.
Gelman?
I mean, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's no Z.
I call him Victorio because that's what his thing is.
I'm assuming
everyone
that's like his middle name
Victor
or his
to
nickname.
come on. Victor is the fisher, the angler who caught the controversial muskie everyone's been talking about. He should be here any minute. We're going to do a second episode with him. But first, 8 Ball Sport Fishing out of Point Pleasant. Extreme flexibility at a very affordable price. Sometimes, even if you don't have a full 6, Captain Dom may just want to go fishing and go anyway, or he may pair you with someone else, but he will get you fishing. He wants to go fishing. He even does striper fishing trips on mini rods after work. This year, he's offering his tuna fishing trips for the first time. It's something he's always done. Now he's offering it to the public as a charter trip. Still doing the Thresher shark trips that are also coming up. So 8 Ball's booking everything. I just saw Dom and Kim at the Saltwater Expo on Sunday. They are just both so cool. You could never complain about them. And it's pretty much who me and Chris will be using for most of our 6-pack charters from here on out. So call 8 Ball Sport Fishing in Point Pleasant.
We're gonna make sure that they pop Joe's tuna cherry before we start taking Joe up to fish with like Wicked Tuna guys, I think.
Well, Wicked Tuna sounds like he said 5 miles. Like I go farther from.
I'm more concerned that a tuna just rips your ass right out of the boat. And
that's possible. Well, they leave it in the rod holder, don't they? And they just crank on it and pull it.
Depends on the size of the fish. Depends what you're doing.
I bet I know how to fight one just because I've watched him fight 100.
Oh, okay.
I mean. Well, they leave it in the rod holder, and then they reel it in, but they also pull on it with the other. Okay. I've never done it.
So,
I don't know.
Joe's watched Wicked Tuna, and he goes to the gym. He's going to be just fine.
No.
We're going to film it. We're going to film it.
The 2 that actually I saw hooked on the Tie Man, one of them almost ripped Chuck off the boat within 7 seconds. It hit a planer board while we were striper fishing, and the planer board took off at like 28 miles an hour. Like it looked like a torpedo. Chuck grabbed the rod, and he almost just flew off the boat, and then the line snapped instantly. And then, Chris, I think you were there for the second one when I hooked one. I hooked it on a swim shad, and I gave it to Sandy Kennedy. And
no, that wasn't. I mean, I think we didn't Chuck kind of come to the conclusion that that was probably a Thresher shark?
No, that's how he started, but he thinks now it was like a small bluefin, talking to his friends that were in that area. So,
all right. I was there possible. For that, yeah.
Kim Sorge just said, "What a sweetie Joe." Usually she's bashing me and wants to kill me. She must be drunk or something. What
Captain Dave put her in a good mood.
Captain Dave got her very giddy. Where is Vic? What's the status?
I mean, we're gonna. He's waiting for me to tell him we're good, so we're good.
We are good. Really quick though, I also have to mention, if you're looking to book a trip on Lake Apacon, Eddie Mackin is running a special. If you book a trip before May 1st, you get $75 off. And Eddie Mackin's price is fairly reasonable already compared to a lot of the other guides. So $75 is a pretty big savings. So if you do plan on a Lake Apacon trip this season, especially the night fishing, which we do religiously, it's one of our favorite times of the year. Eddie does it too. He's usually like right alongside us somewhere out there. But to save $75 is a nice chunk off. So if you end up booking a trip after May 1st, you kind of like wasted $75. Like you might as well just book it now. So call Eddie Mackin's Rippin' Lips Fishing Trips. He's currently in Disney World rocking the NJ Multi-Species hat. But he will be back soon, and as soon as the ice is gone, he's going to start fishing. So call Eddie Mackin.
Before Vic looks like he's ready, but before he pulls on, can you see this? Matt Loisel just sent me this.
Oh, that's Matt Loisel's wife with Captain Dave. That's awesome. Is that a Mako shark or a thresher? Thresher?
It looks like a Mako. I can't tell in the picture.
Yeah, Mako. Maddie, if you're there, is that a Mako or a thresher? It looks like a Mako. Okay, we're going to back out for about 2 or 3 minutes to get Victor set up, and then we're going to start the next episode. It's not going to be as long, but we're going to discuss this muskie catch and the actual story behind it and get the real facts. So we will be back in 2 minutes.